Have you ever wondered what really separates good leaders from the truly visionary ones? Well, a lot of the time, it's their ability to think strategically. So today, we're going to get into the mindset, the very DNA of what it takes to be a strategic thinker. So, if you remember from our last chat, strategic thinking really boils down to two key things. First, it's about seeing, spotting all those important bits of information. And second, synthesis, which is the real magic of connecting those dots to see the bigger picture. Okay, but that's the what. That leaves a huge question, right? What about the who? I mean, it's one thing to know what strategic thinking is, but what does it take to actually be a strategic thinker? To really get to the bottom of this, we're turning to the amazing work from the strategy experts at 108 Growth Partners. They have done such a great job of breaking down the essential traits that make up this unique mindset. So here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with the overall mindset, then we'll walk through the 5 core traits one by one. We've got the systems perspective, the dynamic duo of time and intent, and then the balance between hypotheses and opportunism. And finally, we'll talk about your next strategic move. Sound good? Let's dive in. So what does this mindset really look like when the rubber hits the road? Well, it's not just one single skill. Think of it more like a collection of 5 core habits of mind that, when you put them all together, lets you see the world in a totally different way. And here they are, the big 5. Now, this is all based on some really foundational research by Liedtke and Jellinge. We're talking about having a systems perspective, sinking in time, focusing your intent, being hypothesis-driven, and practicing intelligent opportunism. Let's break each one down. First up is the systems perspective. This is all about seeing the whole forest, not just getting lost in the trees. It's about zooming out and understanding how everything is connected. To put it simply, it's the understanding that nothing, and I mean nothing, happens in a bubble. A true strategic thinker sees how every piece of a system, whether it's a company, an industry, or even just a small team project, is interconnected. They see the ripple effects. Just think about any business, right? You've got your marketing team, your finance wizards, your sales folks, production, and everybody is often super focused on their own goals. Well, the strategic thinker is the one who sees how a tiny marketing decision could send a huge wave through sales, which then impacts production, and boom, it hits the company's bottom line. And this is the ultimate cure for what we call tunnel vision. It stops you from making a call that might look great for your department today, but could actually cause a huge headache for the whole organization tomorrow. All right, let's move on to our next 2 traits, and these 2 are just beautifully connected. Thinking in time and focusing your intent. This is really about mastering your relationship with both the clock and the compass. So, trait number 2, thinking in time, isn't about having a crystal ball. It's more like you're a historian, a journalist, and a sci-fi author all at once. You learn from the past, you get a super clear, honest picture of what's happening right now, and you use all that to imagine and map out different possible futures. And that flows perfectly into trait number 3, focus intent. This is where your vision gets its boots on the ground. It's a really disciplined process. You start with a super clear why, that's your intent. From there, you figure out the what, the specific actions you'll take. And finally, you define the outcome, the results you're aiming for. It's about turning purpose into reality. Our last pair of traits might feel like total opposites at first, but trust me, they are 2 sides of the same strategic coin. This is all about being both a scientist and an artist. You've got to be hypothesis-driven, but also an intelligent opportunist. Being hypothesis-driven basically means you treat your strategy like a living, breathing experiment, not something carved in stone. You're constantly asking, hey, what if we tried this? You're making smart guesses like, okay, if we do X, then Y should happen, and then you go out and actually test it with real data. But here's where the magic happens. While you're busy running your experiments, the world is going to throw you some curveballs. Of course it will. Intelligent opportunism is that agility to not just dodge them, but to spot the unexpected chances they create and have the guts to pivot and grab them. So you see, it's this essential dance. Being hypothesis-driven is about proactively testing the reality you think is there. Intelligent opportunism is about reactively seizing the reality that actually shows up, especially when it surprises you. To really win, you absolutely need both. Okay, so we have these 5 powerful traits. How do we pull this all together? Let's connect the dots and figure out what to do with all this awesome knowledge. So there you have it. The ability to see the whole system, to think across time, to focus your intent, to test your ideas, and to grab opportunities. That, right there, is the heart and soul of the strategic mindset. What we've really done here is we've defined the who of strategy. These 5 traits, they aren't just techniques you learn, they're the mental habits that set a strategic thinker apart from the crowd. But that brings us to the next logical question, doesn't it? Knowing who to be is fantastic, but how do you actually do it? What are the practical, real-world steps? Well, you are not going to want to miss our next explainer. We're going to get right into the how by breaking down the first 2 steps of a powerful 4-step framework from 108 Growth Partners, Seeing and Connecting. And let me tell you, we are going to share some fantastic, practical tools you can start using immediately. Hey, thanks so much for joining us for this explainer. Make sure you follow so you don't miss out on more deep dives into strategic thinking, all brought to you with insights from our friends at 108 Growth Partners. We'll see you next time.